All right, it's a twist, isn't it, that no one saw coming. Anastasia Palaszczuk has named Queensland's Chief Health Officer, Dr Jeanette Young, as a Sunshine State's new governor. Announcing the appointment, the Premier was effusive in her praise for Dr Young.
People across Queensland have stopped me and have said to me, Dr Young's going to be our governor, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And I thank Queenslanders for doing that. I'm quite sure that she will be the people's governor, because she has been with the people of this state through the most difficult challenges that our state has ever had to face.
Well, to discuss this and more, I'm joined from Sydney by broadcasting legend, host of Alan Jones, my good friend, Alan Jones. All right, Alan Jones, if the answer is Jeanette Young, you've got to wonder what the question was in terms of governor. I want to pick up a point, though, in terms of the role of governor. If there was any move towards a National Royal Commission, and people know where I stand on this, I want one, there should be one, it should be there already in place, then it's quite possible Jeanette Young, as the governor, would make the call, given that letters patent have to be signed off by the governor in order to start a national, all states involved Royal Commission. What did you make of this announcement by Anastasia Palaszczuk today?
Well, I had information this was coming, but it's just unbelievable. And Anastasia, if you're watching, you're being very loose with the truth there. There's no way in the world anyone in Queensland was saying to Anastasia Palaszczuk, we want this woman as the governor. Anastasia's doing that as a cover for having appointed her as the governor. And of course, she follows one of the most outstanding academics and intellectual scholars that Queensland has ever produced, Peta Credlin, who was the governor, was the Chief Justice, a brilliant mind, never beaten in a public exam. And here is a woman who was the registrar at Rockhampton Hospital. They give out pens and plastic gloves. She then took on the job as registrar at Princess Alexandra Hospital and then fell into this job of Chief Health Officer, never knowing there'd be anything like a coronavirus. She has no epidemiological skills whatsoever. She's never put a piece of paper on the table to justify what she called medical evidence that she should do what she has done. And now, of course, she's got the highest award. I think, Peter, there could be a hidden agenda here because, as you know, there is no upper house in Queensland. And this woman has the head of Executive Council. She has to sign off. They can tip any kind of legislation now through the Parliament and she'll automatically sign it off. So David Crisafulli and these people are going to have to be very, very alert to all of this. She wouldn't understand what was being put in front of her. It's an absolutely disgraceful decision.
Yes, and I think you're absolutely right. People need to look very carefully in Queensland at the paperwork that goes forward to EXCO, Executive Council. My point about letters patent and royal commissions and all of those things. Appointments by the governor in council, effectively Anastasia Palaszczuk, rubber stamped by the governor. This will be where we'll watch in the next few months when she takes office, sworn in, I think, in November. I want to query, I know you have been a critic of Michael McCormack and you've much favoured the return of the retail politician, the weight and the strength of someone like Barnaby Joyce. Very interesting to look at two former DPMs over the weekend. You've got Barnaby Joyce, triumph today in Canberra, back in the top job, sworn in tomorrow. John Anderson, though, former Deputy Prime Minister under John Howard, leader of the National Party, he fell short on Friday in gaining the numbers from the rank and file to return to the Parliament in Canberra. He was trying to get on the Senate ticket there for the Nationals. Now, he's got podcaster success. This has left politics. He's got a farm that he runs. He's very, very well regarded, but he lost out to a former party director, Ross Cadell, in the Senate pre-selection bid and a couple of others. I think this is a missed opportunity for the National Party, a bit of sort of intellectual ballast, particularly. He's no threat. He's in the Senate if he got up. What do you think, Alan?
Two excellent words, Peter. Intellectual ballast. It's an appalling decision. Anderson was quite clear. He's an outstanding candidate. He was quite clear. He really just wanted to give that kind of intellectual quotient to the National Party. He didn't want office. If they won government, he didn't want a ministry. He just wanted to represent the people of New South Wales. He was fully au fait with the problems that the National Party had to face. Fortunately, Barnaby Joyce has been elected today because the real issue here is that the swings against the National Party at the last federal election, as I'll point out in my program tonight, were mammoth, and Scott Morrison could not retain the Prime Ministership with McCormack as leader of the National Party. Barnaby Joyce has now got a massive job, but John Anderson would have been a significant component in all of that. Peter, I can tell you that there were leading figures in the New South Wales government in the National Party who were campaigning behind the scenes against John Anderson. There are people in politics, you know this better than anybody, there are people in politics who can't hack someone coming along with ability, with scholarship, with knowledge, with experience. Anderson was an outstanding candidate, and the National Party have lost a very significant opportunity to raise what you called intellectual ballast into the party.
Yeah, we talk about getting good people into politics. Sometimes good people have left, and the idea that they'd want to come back and serve, as you say, be no threat to anyone, just throw a bit of intellectual horsepower into the party room. Surely we should celebrate that if we want the best possible governments leading the country.
Well, one of the problems in this country, as you know, is that very successful people leave politics too early. I mean, Paul Keating left at 55. I mean, Tony Abbott's a young man. He should be down there in Canberra. There's a stack of them. We pension them off and then think that some wet behind the ears 32-year-old who knows nothing about life and has achieved nothing in life and has no experience suddenly should get the nod. We tend to cast experience aside, and that's to our detriment, I have to say. But this is an opportunity missed by the National Party.
All right, I want to go and ask you about your good mate, John Bercow, the former Speaker of the UK Commons. You're not going to get away with this. You are not. You thought he was wonderful. You loved his theatrical turn of phrase, Mr Jones.
Yes.
He has now defected. He didn't get a gong. He didn't get put into the Lords. He's defected to the Labor Party. He's saying that the Conservatives over there are populist and xenophobic. Now, come on. He is a Remainer. He has jumped ship.
Yeah,
Sorry
no, look,
about that?
No. Look, I share that sentiment. I have to say this, though. I don't agree with what John's done, and I've said so in a note I've sent to him tonight. I don't agree. But, Peter, I mean, as a very distinguished speaker in the House of Commons who had been elected by both parties unopposed for so long, and I think he conducted himself very fairly in that role. The Conservatives would have thought a bit too fair to the other side, but those people historically have been appointed to the House of Lords. He wasn't nominated, and there was no suggestion within the government that he would be appointed, and he most probably feels a bit injured as a result of all that. It doesn't justify going to that other crowd nonetheless, but who knows? I mean, he might be a leadership contender. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, there is talk of him getting a lower house seat, Alan Jones.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
God forbid. We don't like turncoats. We do not like
talented.
turncoats.
I mean, he's talented. He could prosecute a case. John Bercow, and as you know, wouldn't be the first person in British politics or Australian politics to change sides. Some have changed sides many times.
I know, but he's just prosecuting the wrong case. That's the problem. That's the problem. He's a Remainer. Alan Jones.
I agree with
I'll be watching at 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Peter.
I'll be watching at 8 o'clock.
Bye-bye.
All right.